All right. So Chip has officially made this chat public. For those of you who are joining us on YouTube, this is the Spark Freedom live chat. It's actually the first one of these that we've done. We're experimenters in social media, and so we always want to be trying out the newest experimenters in social media. And it sounds like Google Plus Hangouts and going on air are a fun way to reach people. So we decided let's give it a shot. Today we want to talk about measuring social media success. There's a lot of different web platforms out there. There's a lot of different ways to measure how successful you are at using them. Between the 5 or so of us in this Google Hangout right here, we have a lot of different experience on these social platforms, and so we're basically just going to have a discussion about what are the platforms that we've used, what's our personal journey's been in terms of measurement, and what are the best ways to figure out how you're being successful, and then what are the programs or apps or different things that are available on the web that make it easy. So before we get started in our conversation, let's just go around the Google chat real quick and say who we are, what organization what organization that we work with. I'll just go first, I guess. My name is Lasse Lund, and I work at the Freedom Foundation in Olympia, Washington. It's a nonprofit think tank that deals with free enterprise, and I'm their director of digital outreach. Okay, someone can go next.
I'm Dacia Harris, and I work at the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs, a nonprofit think tank based in Oklahoma City. And I'm their interactive.
All right, I'm Chip Oglesby, and I work for Spark Freedom, and I handle online marketing, and I work with Lasse on outreach.
I'm Ryan Green with the Illinois Policy Institute. I'm the director of digital here. That's Charlie in the background. He does our video production. So he'll be hanging out doing stop motion while we're doing the hangout.
Hello, my name is Brett Corriere. I'm with Spark Freedom. I work with Nicole Williams, and we work with different nonprofits and help them focus their message. And among my other responsibilities, I do all the social media for a couple of restaurants and retail locations. So I'm always interested in trying new ways to combine social media and to reach more people.
Yeah, and so a couple of us are, well, actually all of us are at least affiliated with Spark Freedom. Brett, I know that you and Chip had mentioned that you both work for that. And so Spark Freedom is just we're an online community of people. Most of us work in the nonprofit realm, but that is not a limitation. We want to welcome anybody into this community that is interested in just becoming better at digital outreach and having the conversation and having access to resources and to people who are taking the same journey that you're taking. So if you use social media for your personal business, or if you're working in the nonprofit sector and you're in charge of digital outreach, or if you are a blogger and you want to figure out how you can reach more people with your message, we're all in it here in this community. We're all in it every single day, and we're always learning new techniques and learning about new programs. And so we just want to have the conversation. We think that we're experienced. I wouldn't necessarily say that we're all experts, but hopefully we're getting there soon. And so we want you to be a part of that community. Definitely, as this chat's going on, jump over to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/WeSparkFreedom, and like us on there and interact with us and share your posts and your thoughts and anything you stumble across. And then connect with us on Twitter, twitter.com/SparkFreedom. And you can also use that Twitter account to send us any kind of questions you have during this live chat, or any comments, or if you want us to camp on a topic for a little while as we're talking about it, definitely do that. So Chip is monitoring the Twitter account, and he'll be bringing up any questions as they come through. as he sees fit. He has all the power. So, okay. Anything else we want to cover, Chip, before we jump into the actual discussion?
Nope, I think we're good to go.
Okay, great. Well, so let's talk about measuring success in social media. There's definitely a lot of different measurements that you could use depending on the platform that you choose or the platform that your business or your brand is on. They all mean a lot of different things. Oh, real quick, some people are asking about what is the address to join. We have a YouTube channel that we're using. So, and I've just, Brett, there's the bit.ly link that you can send out and direct people towards it. It's also, if you've RSVP'd to the event, it's on the Google Plus page. There should be a link available on there. So, want to make sure that we can give everybody access. Again, this is our first time doing this kind of broadcast, so cut us a little bit of slack as we experiment with what the Google on-air Hangout is like. We'll figure out how to be successful here too. Okay, well, so I wanted to ask you guys, the panel here, what do you guys see as the main differences for measuring success in a for-profit company and in a non-profit company? Because we're most of us here work in the nonprofit sector, but I know a lot of people in the for-profit sector are using social media to do outreach. So just toss out your comments on, what are the differences that you should be looking for if you're in the for-profit sector or if you're in the nonprofit sector.
I don't think that there's, a major difference because you in essence, you're selling a product in the nonprofit sector as well. You're selling your ideas or you're selling your message. And I think the tough part, the big difference between the two is how you measure the effectiveness of that message. And just as with any advertising, the measurement is always the toughest part. Print versus digital versus radio, it's always tough to get exact measurements of who you're reaching, if you're reaching your target audience. And I think it may actually be a little bit easier with the nonprofit because you're actually having them do something, get active, get involved, and share that message themselves.
Well, so I guess my major question is, for a lot of for-profit companies, they're selling a specific product where they are looking to have somebody make a purchase, whereas nonprofits, there may be a product that they end up selling, whether that's a publication or a book or a video or something along those lines, but they're not always looking to sell. They want to communicate an idea. They want to get an idea out there, and so I don't know. I see a difference there in how in the approach, because the for-profit are always looking to eventually get somebody to their buy page or their their cart, their online shopping cart, and get them to buy something. Whereas a nonprofit could say, well, we've been successful in our social media or in our online outreach because X amount of people saw our idea or shared our idea or liked our idea, something along those lines. Does anybody have any other thoughts along that?
Well, everything you do should have an economic value attached to it, and that's for you to determine internally what the economic value is. But an email sign up, has an economic value, and at the end of the day, we need to raise money to keep our doors open. So. One of the things that I'm currently working on, most nonprofits have a direct mail formula. So they know if they, send to so many people, it's going to cost X, and they're going to get a response rate of X, and the average gift is going to be X. So how does that formula then apply to nonprofits? Because that's in the digital space. That's who we're competing with. We're competing with direct mail internally for resources. So in order to determine the value of one over the other, or where resources should be focused, you need to attach an economic value to what you're doing.
So do you think then that the ultimate goal for nonprofits in online outreach should be to get people to their donation page?
Well, that's one of the goals, right? I mean, one of the goals is to have people either become a member or become a donor, whatever you call that person who contributes to your organization. I mean, that's one goal. The other goal is to take an action. If you're a C4, that action is advocacy and applying pressure to a lawmaker. So, what is the value attached to that? Everything has an economic value. So that's one thing that we should all strive to determine.
Yeah, I agree with that point. And I think it's really hard for a lot of nonprofits to say one of our ultimate goals financially has to be sustainability. And so if you know how much on average a first-time donor will give, and you can use that as part of your conversion rate, you can almost figure out mathematically how many people it's going to take to reach your goal. A lot of people don't like to do that because a lot of people keep fundraising separate from online. I think it just depends on how concise you want to get with what you're trying to do.
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in on this idea of for-profit versus nonprofit success?
I mean, in a for-profit, you're reporting to stakeholders, right? I mean, they invest in your company, or either you're the owner of the company, you want to know what your ROI is, and you want to know what the economic value is.
Right.
In order to report back to donors who are contributing to nonprofits, we've got to be able to show them that information. So if a donor gives us a contribution of X towards our digital efforts, what's the return going to be there?
Well, I don't think, for a nonprofit, I don't think it always comes down to ROI, to return on investment. Even when you're doing a donor report, I mean, of course you want to be able to say, hey, we invested wisely and we were able to achieve success, but again, or we were able to achieve efficient success. We're not spending $20 per like on Facebook or something like that, but success online does not always come down to, at least for a nonprofit, to the purchase of a product or ROI. It comes down to are you getting your mission out? Are you getting your message across to people? And of course, you want to be able to spend the smallest amount of money to reach the most amount of people. But I hear a lot of when I go to other live chats and I listen to other social media experts online, and they're talking to a for-profit audience, they're always saying, how do you convert a retweet into a purchase? Or how do you convert a like on Facebook into a purchase of a product? And I think about what we do in the nonprofit sector, and it's like, well, we're trying to communicate an idea, so a retweet, sharing that information with another network of individuals, I don't need them to purchase a product in order to consider that retweet a success. Because the mission of our nonprofit is getting our mission out. It's communicating an idea.
Well, and that's expressing the importance of aligning your digital with your overall strategic goals. I mean, if our goal is to educate people, if you're a C3 and you're trying to educate folks, then the goal is to have them read your work. It's not to necessarily retweet a tweet if it's not resulting in some sort of action.
Right.
You may want to reconsider or rethink your digital strategy. So. But there's still an economic value tied to what it takes in order to drive people to either read your report or to take an action to contact the legislator. So the economic value isn't necessarily attached to a donation. It can be attached to another goal or end result. But you need to understand or know what that economic value is in order to properly evaluate your digital strategy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so along those lines, there's a lot of different platforms out there, and if you want to talk about a specific platform and what the measurements are on that platform, please go ahead. But so I just want to put the broad question out there. What are the measurements that matter? So on Facebook, what is the value of a like versus the value of a comment versus the value of a share? on Twitter? What's the value of somebody replying to you versus somebody retweeting your comment versus somebody favoriting your comment? I've seen a lot of people start to favorite things on Twitter. Is there any value in that, and what is that versus a retweet? If you're on Pinterest, what is the value of somebody pinning or repinning something from your page? So what are the social media platforms that you guys use, and how do you guys measure success on those platforms? Everybody needs a moment to think, huh?
Yeah.
I can jump in on that. I actually I divide things into 4 categories when I'm looking at my analytics, and it's just helpful for me to parse them out this way. So I do conversation. So conversation is comments, replies, anything that's obviously conversational. Amplification would be a retweet, a share, a repin, something like that. And then applause is what you were talking about, a favorite, a like, a +1. And then the economic value, again, is the final category that I like to divide things into. So, and then I rate those based on importance, just based on the results that you see from those actions.
Okay.
I think it's hard when you favorite a tweet, or when you pin something on Pinterest, or you book something on Delicious, because the question always becomes, how long until someone takes action on that? If I don't know if I'm gonna pin a 5,000-page policy report to go back and read it later. But I might favorite something, or I might retweet it, and so that's where I kind of want to go in and look at analytics and say, okay, how much of our traffic is coming from, a custom segment? Is it coming from Pinterest? Is it coming from Delicious? Is it coming from Twitter? And of that, making sure I have a goal established and a goal value assigned to that, so I can say, okay, every pin that we get ultimately is worth $5, or maybe it's only worth 50 cents.
Okay. Others? Dacia, how do you measure the difference between the different things on Twitter and Facebook and other social platforms?
Well, for us on Facebook, we really look at conversion. How do we get people who are on our Facebook or Twitter to read our stuff? Or are they reading it? And if they are, what are they reading? Because we have really struggled with this quantity versus quality.
Sure.
And we've found through tracking our numbers on Facebook, we use Facebook Insights, and we look at our engagement and our people who are talking about it, and to see, we've noticed that just by increasing our page views, we're getting more views on everything. So the things that are high in quality now, just because we have more page views, are getting more reads, and that's what our goal has been. So that's how we measure it, is how many people are converting from Facebook or Twitter over to read the things that are going to help make the change that we're looking for in our state.
Yeah. I think you bring up a really good point with quantity versus quality. Chip, you and I were having this conversation the other day about you can look at some Facebook pages or even some Twitter profiles, and you can see, oh man, they have 1 million fans or they have 1 million followers, and then you look at your own page and you think about, oh man, I have 1,000 fans or 500 followers on Twitter, and you feel like you're not very successful, but quality goes a long way online. So talk a little bit more about how what is more valuable. Is it more valuable to have a large following or an engaged community?
Well, I mean, Facebook actually has its own algorithm for determining the quality, and that's the EdgeRank algorithm, and so and that's determined by the affinity, weight, and time or relevancy of a post, and so the affinity is the closeness, obviously, between two users. So if users are really close to your brand, Facebook is going to rank your content higher, in front of that user. And then the weight is determined by the quality of interaction. So a comment is weighted higher than a like, and a share is rated higher than ranked higher than a like as well. So based on your EdgeRank score, that'll determine if your content is appearing in the news feed. And that's one of the things that we're trying to implement internally here, and I would encourage other groups to talk about is news feed optimization. I mean, we all talk about search engine optimization, but no one's really talking about news feed optimization. And if you're not appearing in the news feed on Facebook, you're invisible, because I think it's roughly like 30% of all time on Facebook spent in the news feed, and then even smaller percentages are actually seeing your content. So it's roughly, I think it's like 8 to 10% of brands are appearing in front of their users. The other 90 are not even breaking into the news feed because their EdgeRank score is so low.
So Ryan, is EdgeRank, is that something that people on Facebook can see? Like, can they go in and see my EdgeRank is 50? And then how do you improve your news feed delivery? Right.
So EdgeRank is basically like Facebook's secret sauce, and it's, some people know a little bit more about it than others, and I've read some really great posts on it, but no one actually knows what the algorithm is. They just know that these are the 3 elements of it, and if you're performing better in these 3 categories, you're going to be ranked higher, and your content's actually going to appear in the news feed. And Facebook is becoming more strict with the EdgeRank, and I've actually noticed this as a user myself. Some of my friends don't even appear in my newsfeed anymore, or some brands don't even appear in my newsfeed anymore. I have to go seek them out and actually click onto their page in order to view their content. So, I mean, you want to be really careful and focus on measuring, your engagement and interactions with Facebook in order to have the highest EdgeRank score possible.
So how do you think Facebook handles EdgeRank when they want you to promote a post when you have over, I guess, is it 1,000 people when you can start to promote your post?
Oh, you mean like when they say to advertise or promote your post?
Yeah, Facebook is now on fan pages giving the ability to,
right.
I mean, it essentially just, you could go in and create the same ad in the ad manager, but it's just kind of the easy button. You click promote, you say, $20, $30, $50, reach this amount of people. Does that essentially override their algorithm?
Well, yeah, because then, I mean, it's a pay-to-play thing, right? So,
right.
If you're not performing, then you can pay to sort of break into that. Or you can do it on your own if you have a really high EdgeRank score.
And a lot of groups should take advantage of the ads, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be exclusively ad or exclusively, massaging your message to get a good EdgeRank score. You want to kind of have a 1-2 punch of using ads where it makes sense to help break beyond your normal communication or your normal audience, and then also, you don't want to just be spending money like you have a limitless supply. So you want to be working on your EdgeRank score to build your audience.
One thing to happen, if you're not advertising, your community can become stale on Facebook. So advertising helps, keep your community really active. So, I mean, everyone should be advertising at least a little bit on Facebook.
So we definitely agree that should be part of your strategy, because a lot of people think, oh, all we have to do is produce great content and then everyone will like our page and share our message. I try to tell people it's really not that easy to create great content.
Right.
And it's also, you need to test your content. I mean, you can spend a lot of time writing a really great post, but we've been testing content on Facebook when it comes to time, and we've tested the type. How do we push it? Do we push it on a video? Does it work better? Are we pushing it using a photo or just a link? And really testing how that helps your response, your newsfeed. And we found that using a photo pushes your content a lot further as far as engagement and your reach goes when it comes to a newsfeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hang on, Chip, real quick. I want to acknowledge the 2 other people that have joined our Hangout. So hi, Isaiah, and hi, Ann. Thanks for being a part of this. And we're just talking about social media measurements and what does success look like online. Let's go to one of our questions. I know, Chip, you said that we have a question from one of our viewers.
Yeah.
His question says, our nonprofit goal is to get and connect info to our member cities in Washington State. How can we build in such a niche market? And I think, it's kind of what we were talking about before. It's this quantity versus quality thing. You can have a small community that's extremely engaged.
Presenting to SPN. So.
You want to mute yourself if you need to have another conversation. You got to have, if you have a small community, you can have a highly engaged audience versus a larger community, which it has less engagement. So, and using things like Ryan was talking about with the edge rank and just creating interesting content for your members, and then just advertising to build that audience out. Does anybody else want to weigh in on that, on building in a very niche market? So essentially, all of us as nonprofit people, I mean, we all work in the niche area. We don't necessarily not necessarily have a broad appeal. Maybe in certain circumstances with certain projects and with certain publications.
I think maybe the two people that just joined the call should have to answer as part of their initiation into the Hangout.
Fair enough. Okay, how do you reach a niche market, Isaiah and Ann?
I mean, I don't know.
Not to put you on the spot.
Can't we have a spelling bee or something? To me, I don't know if I understand exactly who my market is first, so I've been testing out different ones. And can we have a spelling bee or something? To me,
And Nansen, you're getting a lot of white noise. So. Thanks, Chip. Okay.
I think I can actually jump in on that. Facebook really allows you to target niche markets because you can highly profile people on Facebook, whereas other platforms it's a little difficult to drill down. So you can focus on specific geographic areas or specific interests based on Facebook likes and the information that users have uploaded into Facebook. So. I would encourage anyone who's starting out to, if they have really like a hyper niche market that they're focusing on, to start with Facebook and profile what their either donor prospect or what other prospects would look like, and then use Facebook's advertising tool to really drill down and focus specifically on those people and start building community around those profiles.
Okay, great. Well, let's talk a little bit. Let's go into Facebook Insights for just a moment, because I think a lot of people are using Facebook to go online. And let's talk about, when you get into Facebook Insights, what are the different things that you're looking at there? What does reach mean? When Facebook says that you have reached 300,000 people or 50,000 people or even just 1,000 people, what does that mean? What do they mean when somebody likes something? Because I mean, on there, it goes beyond just the clicking of the like button. What does it mean when somebody's talking about this? Those are the labels that Facebook uses in their insights, and it's not, at least to me, when I was first learning how to use it, it wasn't quite as obvious what each of those meant. So just go ahead and weigh in on what you guys have learned about Facebook Insights.
Well, the reach is the number of people who have seen the post. And then when you look at engagement, it's the number of people who have actually clicked on it. And then when you're looking at talking about it, those are the stories that have been created based on that. So you're talking about commenting or liking or sharing, etc.
Well, reach goes even beyond just somebody seeing a post, though, right? I think that when you look at your overall Facebook Insights area, the reach is people that have seen ads or seen your brand in any capacity.
Right. Well, and let me correct myself. You can look at reach at the page level, or you
Right.
can look at reach at the post level. So yes,
That's true.
correct.
Yep. But so just and when you're looking at things like engagement on a post, say for a photo, you can have a click on the photo itself. You can have a story that's generated about the photo, and you can have what they very ambiguously term other clicks, which oftentimes if people include a link in their post when they're saying something about the photo, that is what it's demonstrating, is that there's a click to something else. So just in Facebook Insights, there can be it's not quite clear always exactly what they're trying to tell you. And so did anybody else want to weigh in on Facebook Insights quickly?
I kind of agree, I guess, with what Dacia was saying. As I think it's better to have some mixture of engagement and reach, because on my page there have been posts that have, the reach has been like 6,000 and the engagement has been crazy, but then there are more days where my reach is lower, it's around like 2,000, but the engagement is much higher. So I'm always trying to find a balance between the two of them. I don't know if other people just kind of go for more reach or more engagement. I'd be interested in hearing what other people have to say about that.
So that brings up a good point. I mean, so say you get a post, like you said, with 6,000, it reaches 6,000 people, but you get one like and one comment on it. And then you get a post that has reaches 2,000 people, but you get 50 comments and 500 likes. Chip, which one do you think you would count more successful?
I guess I would probably say the engagement, because we always talk about like social activism and social media. Like, how much does it really take to hit that like button?
Right.
If you look at it, I mean, if somebody likes something, because of the way EdgeRank and the newsfeed works, if someone likes something and has set up, and you have your page set up, you might see it in your newsfeed. But the fact that you took the time to leave, a like is the bottom of the barrel. And then I think a comment, and then for me the penultimate thing is sharing it on their wall or on someone else's page or on some other page newsfeed. That's kind of like the ultimate bar for me.
Well, and I mean that brings up a good point. I've noticed, at least a lot of times in some of the photos and the videos that I've